guys, it's Ellie. I'm sorry, I don't know how long it's been since I've posted. I don't know how many of you watch my videos or wait for me to post videos, but I enjoy posting them, and I hope you guys do too. So, anyways, I am doing a quote-unquote book review, I guess, of some of my favorite books. Yes, as you can see, I have a lot of books behind me. I just reorganized my bookshelf, actually. So, without further ado, this became a really weird intro really quickly. So, let's get started. Okay. So, I'm gonna start with this one. This one is a trilogy called, and then the first one, I will give you guys a good look at the cover. The book is called Anyone But Ivy Pocket. I do not, however, remember the names of the second and third book. You can look it up yourself. I really have no clue. So, Ivy Pocket is an orphan girl who, obviously, she lives in London, and she is very mischievous. So, when she meets this lady, who requested to meet her, who is this older woman, elderly if you may, who is on her deathbed, asks her to bring this sacred jewel to her granddaughter, I want to say her name's Matilda. Her granddaughter Matilda, for her 12th birthday. Ivy Pocket does that, gets herself in a buttload of trouble, and there's magic and spirits, and she's hilarious in my personal opinion. For age rating on this book, I would say, I read it when I was 10, but I was always a very mature child, so I would say 10 for the first book, 11, 12, reaching into 13 depending on what kind of person you are for the second and third book, especially the third book, which deals a lot with death and like spirits and underworlds in a way, I guess. So this book is really good. I was reading it, and then I was reading it a few years ago and then moved, so I'm like not very far into it, but I think I'm going to reread it at some point. Number 1. So, second book is this book. So this is from the Maze Runner trilogy, and a lot of people have never heard of this book, even though they've read Maze Runner. So, if you haven't read Maze Runner, read that first. But if you have, this book is based 13 to 14 years before the maze. And it is in the POV of young Thomas. So it starts when he's like 5 and he meets Teresa, and you get to see the different perspectives of everyone before they lost their memories and find different secrets between all of the characters and see their friendships before they were all torn apart by Wicked. And you get to see like all of the young, I think my favorite is when they're all like 10 to 15 is the best, because they all really form relationships, and you get to find out how like Thomas and Teresa got their telepathy, and it's really great to me. So this book, I also really like the cover art, and it's how the maze was built. So I really like that. I got this for my birthday. But for age rating on this, I would say 13, because it deals a lot with cranks, which are zombies pretty much. And so those, and at one point in the book they walk through Wicked and are encountered by 10 to 15 cranks, which they all have to kill, which is part of their assignment. And so if you are sensitive to that sort of stuff, I would say 13. And again, I personally am not affected. I just read that. I just turned 12, so it really just depends. I would do your research if you want to read any of these, if you think they're too scary. Yeah, it depends. So there's this one. This is my favorite book of all time. I love this book. I've read it 4 times, I think. So this book, Remember to Forget, is by Ashley Royer, who actually started on the writing website Wattpad when she was 13, which I actually just signed up for. Fun fact. I will go into that in another video probably. So this book is about 17-year-old boy named Levi who just lost his girlfriend Delia. And so he moves to Maine with his father from Australia. and he has not talked since Delia died. Well, at therapy, he meets this girl, Delilah, who looks weirdly like the girl he lost. And he tries to pull away from her, afraid that he'll get close, but things aren't always as they seem. So this book I read when I was 10, but it's a romance. There's not a lot of like steamy romance or sexuality in it, and I would define it as a young, like a juvenile. I would say 10 to 13 would be the targeted audience. So this book is amazing, but it deals with a lot of anxiety and depression, so trigger warning for that. Okay, this book, as you can tell, I read this entire series when I was 7 years old, so I still have this one book. I have two, actually. But this one, it's called Rainbow Magic, and it's these two girls who are on summer vacation, and they meet all of these fairies, and they have to help them fight this guy, Jack Frost, before he, like, destroys the entire fairy kingdom. There are probably 30 books in this series, but every book, every, like, little snippet, so these are, I think this one's the sports fairies. There's, like, the color, the musical, there's probably 30. But each section has 7 different characters that they help, one for each day of the week. And so this one is Stacy the Soccer Fairy, and I don't have a lot to say about this book. I haven't read it in forever. I would say it's a really good starter book. It's a really good starter chapter book. The chapters aren't that long. I think this book is only 50 pages. So this is really good if you have someone who is just starting to learn how to read. I'll show you guys, like, there's pictures. The font's pretty large, and so that's pretty good. I read it when I was really young, so. Now these books, this is the fourth one. This is the fourth one. I don't have the first one at the moment. My sister's reading it at the moment, but this is called Keeper of the Lost Cities. This is my favorite series. It gets more violent towards the end. I'm just gonna warning that now. But I read them when I started reading them when I was like 8 or 9. Again, I'm a very, like, not sensitive child, so I read a lot of different things like that. So this book is so good. It's about, the entire series is about this girl, Sophie Foster, who is extremely smart, like way too smart. And she can hear people's thoughts. She's never told anyone, and she doesn't know why. But she's never felt like she belonged in her world. Until she meets Fitzpacker, who tells her that she's something different than a human, and that she doesn't belong where she is. So when he takes her to where she belongs, she doesn't fit in as well. But there are memories in her brain that people want and would even kill for. And so she has to protect herself from those people, as well as learning where she belongs in her world. So there are, at the moment, 9 books in the series. I think she's writing one more. So this is the 4th one. I'll show you guys on the back. These are the first 6, because I got this one, there were only 6 out. So the first one, second one, third one, 4th one, 5th one, 6th one. And these are probably my all-time favorite. As you can tell, I've read this a handful of times. It's falling apart. The first one that I have, the cover is like falling off. It's fine. So I only have 2 more books. I forgot what I grabbed. Okay, so I have this one. A lot of you have probably heard of this book, but this book really changed my perspective on, I want to say, life. This book is amazing. I read it when I was probably in 4th grade, and then I watched the movie. The book's better. That's how it always works, but the book's, so for you who don't know about this book, you should, but, Wonder is about a young boy named Augie Pullman, and he was born with a face defect, so everyone's afraid of him for some odd reason. And he's like 10. Yeah, I think he's 10. And he's had 27 surgeries by the time he was 10 years old. So when he starts going to a real school, he doesn't feel accepted. But there are people in the school who don't care, and there are people in the school who do. So he just has to figure his way through middle school before things happen. But it's also, as you get closer to the end, it starts going into different perspectives, and it will separate into different perspectives. So you get like the perspective of his older sister, the perspective of his nemesis, the perspective of his best friend, who he ends up fighting with and not talking to for a really long time. But this book is really good at explaining acceptance, and it really changed my perspective on different people and how that everyone's really the same if you think about it. So this book is really near and dear to my heart. I love it. So, one more book. This one, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I just finished reading this like not even 10 minutes ago, but I've heard reviews on this that I am going to just copy off of. I don't know who they're by, so I don't know if they're copyrighted. They're probably not. But this book is a mix between, I would say a mix between Hunger Games and The Bachelor. So, it's a dystopian, and there are different classes from 1 to 8, all scattered throughout half of America, because it's been split up due to the Third World War, called Ilya. And so classes 1 to 8. The lower the classes, the less money you get, which is where Hunger Games comes in, like the districts. And so the main character, America Singer, is a 5, which means her entire family they have to pretty much work for all that they own, and which is true in life, but they rarely have enough to eat. There are 5 kids, and so America is the oldest in her home among her siblings, because her older sister Kenna and Coda left. And so she is an amazing singer, obviously, because it's fine. And so her quote-unquote boyfriend, I don't think it ever mentions if he really was her boyfriend, tells her to sign up for this competition that's happening in the kingdom called the Selection, where the prince of the kingdom, Prince Maxon, is trying to find a wife. So he is going to take one girl from each colony of Ilya and put them in a selection so he can find which one he wants to be his bride. That was very, yes. So he tells her to sign up because her family gets stimulus checks the entire time she is there. And now her and the boy that she's in love with, Aspen, have never told their family that they're in love because they're afraid that, because Aspen is a 6, it's unheard of for a woman to marry lower in her class. And he's afraid that he won't be able to provide for her. So she signs up for this competition not knowing that she will get in. And so once she's there, she doesn't know, because she doesn't want to love the prince. And so she tells him that she'll be his messenger, almost, his friend, so that she can relay messages for him. But when she starts realizing that she might like him, things get a little out of hand. And so this is a trilogy, and then there's 3 other books. This is what do you call a series with 4 books? It's a struggle. Because there's 4 books, and then there's 2 others from a different perspective of a different character in a different time period. But these books are really good. I can't tell you about all of them because I just finished reading the first one. So that's, yeah. I really like it though. And it's humorous, and I like the relationships in it a lot. Age rating on this book, there's not a lot of sexuality. There's a few times where her boyfriend kisses her passionately. And so I would say 13. I haven't read any of the other ones, so I don't know about those, but 13, solid. Yeah. and there's a few sexual references, but that's about it. So this book is really good. Okay, I am out of books to review for you guys, so I hope you guys like those. Comment down below if you want me to do another book review, because this video is getting long. So comment down below if you want me to do another book review. Like, subscribe. I really don't care if you like or subscribe. I'm just gonna keep making videos. So I hope you have a good day. I don't know where you are, but here in Colorado it's snowing, so it's cold. But I hope you guys like my video, and I hope you guys read some of these books. Have a good day. Bye.